Today we are going to discuss 3 great negotiation tips that are going to help you save more money in your next real estate transaction. Moving to Southern Missouri is the best thing I've ever done for my family. The first tip is a saying that investors often use, and it's, are you buying a house or a home? Because the truth is, when you're buying a home, there is so much emotion and attachment in it that you have reduced negotiation power. But when you're buying a house and you can separate emotionally and you are willing to walk away, and that is the most powerful psychological trick you can have in negotiations, is truly being willing to walk away if you don't get the number that you're looking for. Otherwise, your negotiation strategy is weakened by the emotion and the attachment to the home. As a real estate agent, I like to be aggressive during negotiations. At least aggressive in terms of, I really want to find the very lowest price for my buyer. But the problem is when that buyer is emotionally attached, and I'm not negotiating a house for the buyer, I'm negotiating a home. I personally do not have the same negotiation power, because if I don't play my cards right, I could lose somebody's dream home. And that would not be acceptable. An example of that is when we bought the house where we're currently living, and it was one of those things where I walked up to the property and I told my husband, this is it. I want to move in tomorrow. Can we do a day close? And he was like very uncomfortable with it. Like, we need to talk about this and think about it. And I was like, drive home fast. We've got to put the contract in tonight. And the reason why I was so rushed is I knew that a very interested buyer was literally on their way driving to the property to do a showing, but they were driving from Springfield, so we had a little time. So I wanted my husband to just rally home and us to get a contract in before the next showing. And I was acting that way because I had emotionally fallen in love with this property. It was no longer a house, it was my home. And I wasn't gonna let anything stand in the way of that. And so we did, with pre-bidding war, we don't even know if that other buyer was going to put in a contract. We offered a little bit above asking price. The contract was just very agreeable towards the seller. I never would recommend this, but we actually waived our right to inspections. And the only reason we did that is because we knew the builder, we inspected the home ourselves, and we felt okay doing that. I would never recommend that for one of my own clients, but that is what we did personally. And we got that contract accepted that night. So to recap, as soon as there's an emotion attached to the property, negotiation power is lost. And so if you really want to get the absolute best price when you're looking for your next home, in the negotiation phase, you first have to see it as a house. And that is not always easy. So you have to ask yourself, are you shopping for a home or are you shopping for the best priced house? Because they're very different things in terms of negotiation. The second tip is that you really should understand the current market. And if you don't have your finger on the pulse of it, obviously your realtor should. And saying that, you should understand the current market, but know that if you're looking for the best deal, you're looking for motivated sellers. And so this second point actually kind of works in tandem with the first point. Like I was saying, that if you're looking for the absolute best price, you're really shopping for houses that you can negotiate the best prices with. So if you are looking for the absolute best priced home, you're looking for a steal of a deal, you are looking for a situation, not necessarily just shopping for a house. So in the first point I was saying, if you want the best price and the strongest negotiation power, you're shopping for a house, not a home. The second point, to go even further in that price reduction, is that you then look at it that you are shopping for a situation and not a house. Okay? So what that means is that even amongst those great deals, those houses that are priced right, you're looking for the specific motivated seller that is a don't wanter, that just wants to get rid of that property and is willing to do a massive price drop to get rid of that property, which has become, a source of pain and not pleasure for that seller. While saying all of that you're really looking for the right house and the right motivated seller, I still think that it's important to keep a certain level of humility and kindness and humanity, even when you're looking for that great price. And so point number 3 is make the transaction a win-win. And so I do recommend with clients that they don't ask for the moon and the stars. You gotta give the seller something that they want. And especially if they've itemized some small things that you could easily agree to. So important in successful negotiations. And of course, I want to tell you a story to go with that. There was a family who was actually pretty accommodating. I had their home listed and we had multiple full price offers the first week that it was on the market. And we finally settled on a contract, settled on a buyer, and soon realized that that buyer was the kind of buyer that asked for everything without throwing the seller any kind of bone. And I've only seen this happen a couple times, but what happened is after we got the inspections, the buyer literally had, I believe it was 3 pages, 40 different line items, asking for almost every single noted fix on the inspection report. And you guys, it's completely unreasonable. It's going to make even the most agreeable seller super annoyed. And when someone is super annoyed, they just all of a sudden don't want to work with you. And here's what I saw. Before they asked for the 40 different corrections and fixes, my seller was actually willing to do a bunch of them. He'd already verbally communicated that with me. And so I just was like, oh, this is going to go so smooth. I've never had a seller be so agreeable and so accommodating. Like, he was already willing to fix way more than I would have even thought and I would have even recommended. And after they asked for 40 different corrections and fixes, he ended up getting so annoyed, he considered pulling out of the contract. He just got so annoyed that he said, I'm only going to fix this, that, and the other, and I'm not going to fix any other things. They can fix them themselves. I'm ready to walk from this deal. And all of a sudden, the power was back in his court with these very difficult buyers that kept whittling him down and whittling him down. And why did that pendulum swing and all of a sudden he got all the power back? Because he was no longer emotionally attached to those buyers buying his property and he was ready to walk away. And let me tell you, he meant it. And the buyers really wanted the property, so they actually accepted his counter, which was not fixing very many things at all. And it showed that their true motivation was that they had seen his property as a home. They were already emotionally attached to it. They didn't have a real estate agent that was telling them that they were asking for too much. And asking for too much, 95% of the time, made up statistic, is going to hurt your negotiation power. A little tangent to that. So why also can you look at making the transaction a win-win, be not just a feel-good experience, but actually be a really good negotiation tool? And that is also because when humans display generosity towards each other, most humans who are emotionally sound people want to reciprocate generosity. And what I've noticed, because I do believe that most people are inherently good, although sinful, yes, but that we have goodness as well. And that when people show us generosity, we want to return the generosity and then add a little extra, do just one more. And so that is why there's numerous reasons, but why making the transaction a win-win is super helpful and a great tip for negotiating real estate deals. Most of the time, I absolutely love negotiating. I admit it is really fun to work with buyers who are shopping for houses, not homes, because once that emotion is gone, we can go out there and ensure a very good price for the buyer. And conversely too, holding the line for the seller. I enjoy both aspects of those, but it's definitely harder when there is emotions involved. And like I said for myself, if I'm or someone else is emotionally attached to the property, back off on fierce negotiation and just wrap up that property in the best way that you can. As always, you guys, thank you for joining me with this video. It is just a short and sweet one today. All my information is in the description. Give me a call for all your real estate needs, or text or Zoom or email, whatever your preferred choice of communication is, and we will figure out the best negotiation strategies for you to save you as much money as possible.